Well, guys, here's another update. So, I've been working on doing these cables, and it's kind of disappointing because the first 3 days of erecting the steel building, huge gains were seen. So, we put up the beams on the first day. The second day, we had the three main trusses on. The third day, we had most of the end walls done, and the fourth day we finished up with the trusses, and all the purlins were up there. So it was just huge gains first 4 days, and then I started messing with the cables, and that just took a long time. It took a while for the big ones because I had to figure out how to get the dead ends wrapped correctly, and that was kind of a pain. You can see my plumb bob here, so that's dead center of the building. It's about as close as I need it to be. It's kind of swaying there, but it's pretty much on. So yeah, I had to figure out this is another 1/2-inch cable, and then I had to figure out how to cut this to go through. So what I did was mark where I had ratchet straps going from that hole up there to this one down here. So I kind of marked that, and then I kind of like took a T or speed square on this side just to visually like line it up, and then I took the middle of this, so it's a 2-inch strap, so I took the middle of that and drilled it's a 3.5-inch hole, and I just did that so I'd have like enough play to get it through there, and the eye of that can fit through. And I figured this allows me to position this piece in and out because they have slots both ways, so that you can get your pieces lined up where they need to be. And you can see like this one isn't perfectly round because for whatever reason I didn't have the hole in the right spot, but all this gets hidden, and so you won't see it. So today I finished up on this side. So this is a 1/4 inch, and the 1/4 inch stuff you can wrap the dead ends pretty quickly. It's definitely way less challenging. My holes came out better today. I still had this one that somehow wasn't where it needed to be. I don't know if that has to do with the ratchet strap not being the best idea, but once again, it won't be seen, and I don't think taking that much material out is going to hurt anything. So I guess 3 of the 4 holes over here look pretty good. So I got these in their place. I guess the thing to tell you about on these is when you're adjusting them, just leave them loose till you get both of them, and you can get a level on there, and then you can kind of tighten one of them to shift over the beams however they need to go, and then tighten the other one. So it's kind of, if you get them done and you realize like, hey, my beams aren't straight, then you can loosen one and tighten the other and work it that way. So I did the cable braces up there for the roof, so they zigzag, and there's going to be 8 more that go in on the top of this bay over here that I'm gonna save for tomorrow. All right, guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to continue working on the shop, right? And the next step before I can get the base C-channel in to prepare for the siding to go on the shop is I got to address the foam board insulation that I have. So the actual siding is going to come below the slab 1.5 inches, and then I need to leave a 2-inch gap for the termite inspection gap, right? So if termites are traveling from the ground into the building, they'll leave mud tubes, and you'll be able to see that. So basically what I got going on, because I'd hate to just start a video and tell you how to do something and not have tried it and then fail miserably. But so I've gotten this far, and for the most part, so these pieces are approximately 22 inches deep, so they, for the most part, they're solid, stuck to the wall. There's a few pieces that for whatever reason have pulled away from the wall just a bit, and so we'll have to address that first, and Sunny's gonna help because she's a good helper dog. Yeah, so we're gonna have to address that first, and I'll drill in some retainers for that, and then we will cut the top down like we did with this. I'll just show you what I'm doing. I'm not an expert on this, but I've gotten this far, right? All right, guys, I'll just show you real quick how I'm going to drill in these fasteners for the foam board to be fastened to the concrete on your sidewall. So anywhere you have a gap. So this one, all the rest, they want to sit there attached fine, and I mean, they're on there good enough, they're not going to move. Some of the panels wanted to kick out just a little bit, so that gap, and like this one here is a lot bigger. So when you have a situation like that, you're going to want some fasteners. I got these, I believe I got them off eBay or something, and I was thinking 3.5 inches approximately. We'll say 3.25. That's what you want for 2-inch foam. So it's about 2 inches till the ridges start going. You understand what's happening there. And then, of course, get the appropriate size hammer drill bit to go through the concrete. 5/16 is what I'm using, and I pretty much take them almost the whole way in. Let me see here. So just know on your drill how far you have to go in to be at least 3.5 inches, right? That way you can get them bottomed out. Make sure you wear safety glasses and hearing protection, because this stuff is loud. It just hurts my ears. Anyway, I'll just drill one in real quick just so you can get an idea of what to do. It's no big deal. Basically, wherever it's bowed out, and remember I'm cutting it at 3.5 inches, so I just want to make sure I put in my fastener below that. This isn't an exact science, and all this stuff will be covered up with a stucco-like finish, so you won't even see these things. But we'll just say I'll put this guy in right here. So I lined him up. My drill set on hammer. I got it set on speed number 2, and here we go. So after I get them drilled, I'm going to blow air to get all that dust out of there. So I probably should also have my mask on, but just don't breathe in all that concrete dust. Wear eye protection, because this stuff is going to come flying out. So I'll just tap it in. Slab where it needs to be. I'm just gonna put in one more, right, just to keep this thing against the wall where I want it. All right, as you can see, I've got my fasteners in here, and I really closed up the gap. Now there's still a little bit of the gap here, and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna cut that off anyway. And you know, the plan is to put our parchment or stucco coating over what's visible, but eventually we're going to backfill all this area and bring up the grade to just below what's showing. So we'll cut this to here, and we'll only have like an inch or two showing of the, you know, covered foam board. So I think that'll be fine, but I brought this all the way back in to the foundation here. So now we're gonna, I'll just show you how I'm cutting these. So basically, I'm taking my square here and I'm hanging them off the edge, and I'll take my Sharpie and mark 3.5 inches, okay? And then I'll do that in a couple different spots. Then I'm coming back with the level, lining up those spots and just making a line that I'll follow with the jigsaw. So I just have this, I think it's a 4-inch blade, and it's a metal blade, but I mean, I'm cutting through foam, so who cares, right? And I have this set at a 15-degree angle, and just my idea on that was that any water that hits this here is going to want to just run off instead of running in towards the foundation. All right, now that we've made a line, we're simply going to take our jigsaw and cut that line. Now the blade on my jigsaw is only cutting like 7 of the 8 way through, and that's better than it cutting too far and, you know, getting into the concrete. So I'm taking this razor blade that I had laying around, and I'm just using him to cut that last 1/8 of an inch or so, and you can kind of feel it getting all the way to the concrete. And so we'll just cut that last little part out. So this was, you know, this styrofoam, and then there was a board here. This was like the form for the concrete. So in some places they have more concrete on top of the styrofoam than others, and sometimes you just have to crack that away. I've used various methods, but most of the time you can just manhandle this stuff and get it off. So like I said, like, this is one of the areas where it's just hanging over a bit, and so you can see it leaves like a rough edge right here. That's no big deal. I'll just take a chisel and knock off like big chunks of it, and then I'll take my grinder, my angle grinder with a concrete disc on it, concrete cutting disc, diamond disc, and I'll take care of the rest of it. So, well guys, that is a wrap on the cutting of the insulation. So I got it all trimmed all the way around the building. All right guys, welcome back. Here's another update. So since I put the shop up and I got all the cables and stuff in place, you know, I spent a day really trying to plumb everything up and get it right. And I had a problem where, like, my main rafter here was leaning over, and it just turns out that, like, yeah, some things are off a little bit. So I was able to loosen up the rafters, or the purlins on the rafters, and get everything shifted around. The center one plumbed up perfect. I got one that is a little bit off, but I mean, he's just off by a little bit, and it's better than it was when I started. So plumbing everything up and straightening it out really helped. Eventually it just doesn't want to straighten anymore, and I think some of it comes down to like anchor bolt placement, and so I had this one column. I mean, he was level within, you know, the lines of level, but close to the one edge, so he's leaned out just a tiny bit, and I really couldn't get him to roll over anymore. I tried to shim him, but the weight wouldn't transfer this way, and I don't know what happened, but I spent a long time screwing around with that, trying trying to get that to be perfect, and we're gonna go with close is perfect enough. So I got it close enough. I think everything will come out in the end, and it won't be any problems. All right, guys, I'll just show you what's happening with door jambs on this thing, just in case you're curious how they put them together. So the building came with probably, I don't know, there's got to be at least 100 of these clips, right? So it's just an angle piece that has, you know, 2 pre-drilled holes, and those come in handy for if you're using it as an anchor for your door jamb. Then it has those holes already punched for you, and then you use these Tech 1 self-tapping screws to tie everything together. So I'm using these anchors, so they're 4 1/4 inch length, and you can see I got about an inch or so sticking up, so 3 inches down, and I actually hit rebar on this one. But yeah, just so when you're trying to pick out your anchor bolts for that, these wedge anchors are great. You're not going to find anything stronger, but you don't have to go very deep because this isn't very strong, right? So there's no reason to make this you know, the Fortress of Solitude when this is what's holding everything together, because this is going to rip out way sooner than one of these bolts fails. And then yeah, so a longer bolt is only going to be wasted basically. So anyway, so you got these clips, put them together, and you use them for everything. Here's like a purlin that I had to like drill out the holes for and get everything to fit together on that. There's another clip at the top of the door header, and another clip that mounts the top of the jamb to that purlin. So that clip sits over the jamb like this, so he's like hidden inside, and then there's 4 bolts that go down through that purlin into the jamb. So I got these strings set up just so I can know where the edge of my steel wall is going to be, and get it all set up. So I'm working on both the jambs and the C channel, the base channel, and getting that all sorted out. But you kind of have to get the jambs sorted out before the base channel can go in, so you know how big of a piece of base channel to cut to fill that, and so on and so forth. So that's what's up with that. It wasn't hard to do. I did, the way I installed it was 1 jamb at a time, and then well, I pre-built it on the ground, but then I just unscrewed the header because I figured it'd be way easier to get that level to 8 feet if it was on the ground than it would be to try and hold it in the air and get it all tied in. That's what's going on with the jamb. So I got this garage door done, and I got a few more to go. I got 3 more garage doors to go, and then I'm gonna move on to the man doors. But just to give you an idea of time frame, how long this takes. This first one took a while. Now that I kind of get the concept of it, let's go a little bit quicker. Hopefully I'll get those done today. Just to give you an idea that it would probably take a day to frame out 4 doors, and if you're doing it by yourself, I guess. It's a lot of up and down trying to get these things all squared up and level. So that's what you want. All right, well, I thought I would just give you an update and give you some of those tips and give you an idea what to expect, because stuff like that, they really don't, you really don't know until you like get into it. And you know, I was like, didn't know what to use for anchor bolts. So after I kind of took a look at what these clips are, it doesn't really matter what your anchor bolts are. Just use 1/2 inch something and get them in there. And then of course, these little nail drive anchors for this, those are going to work out great. That's how that's done. Well, it's been a while since I made a video. I just been busy working on the shop so much, and I didn't want to just record a bunch of repetitive stuff or like not really make a how-to of everything you need to do on a shop. I'm just really trying to highlight, you know, the considerations and stuff. I really didn't, from the get-go, I wasn't planning on doing this much of the build. I kind of thought I was going to hire it out, but turns out it wasn't that hard and to do myself, but it was harder to find someone to do it. So I've been doing it myself so far, and we'll see how much more I end up doing. I don't know. So I've had the property for 1 year this weekend, I guess. So we've come a long way. We went from having an old 30 by 40 shop, and I, tore that down, tore out the concrete for it. I, graded this whole area for the bigger shop, got the concrete, got all this stuff, all the permits, all that other jazz. So we're just rolling around. 1 year went pretty fast. And we're to the point where we're just about ready to put the siding on. So it's gonna really make a huge difference. I erected the frame of the building, and that was like, in 1 weekend, it went from being perfectly flat to having this huge monstrosity. And then the next, 2 months of working on the building, like hardly had any effect on the overall like grandeur of the building. I think the last time I even made a video, I was busy working on doing the base channel. So the base channel, all the way around anywhere that there is an opening. So this has all the anchor bolts, and then I got all the door frames, and those get anchor bolts as well. So anyway, these are just the drive-in nail anchors. So I have that anchored pretty well all around. Got all my doors installed. And this one will be the bathroom door. But yeah, real nice doors. I like the Plico doors. And they're insulated with thermal breaks, weather seal. This is like pretty high quality door. So I got all my base trim installed. So here's our base trim, and he is riveted, Bob Rivets. So that's been pretty awesome. So now I set those up. I used a laser grade level, you know what I mean? And I used that to set this all level around the building, which worked out pretty well. Just kind of makes it easier to get both sides of a corner perfectly good. I gotta finish doing the trim around the doors and 2 of the windows up top. But I got this window done, for example. Now, this was like the first one I did, so it didn't turn out so well, but I think by the time I caulk the gaps and everything, it will look good. So you just have J-channel on the side. I messed this one up and had to re-drill it. I was trying to get it tighter, but the way that the window, the frame, the window tab mounts, sets this thing off like, crooked out like this. So it wouldn't really sit flush. So that's the best we got on that. I think it will look fine once everything's all together. So you got J-channel top and bottom, and this is your drip channel, and so it's basically a gutter. That's bird crap probably. Basically a gutter for your window, so all the water that hits the side of the building and flows down will end up in this and get channeled away from your window, so you don't have a bunch of water trying to get in from there. So we got that all done, and a lot of it is just repetitive. You figure out how to put it in one door, that's great. Now you just put in 3 more. Figure out how to trim one door, trim 3 more. All the garage doors have these nice jam trim covers, and then of course the J-channel, and there's a drip edge up there also. So I went kind of crazy on the rivets because I wanted to keep this seam pretty tight. So siding goes in here, and it's like it's a ribbed panel, right? So when you're trying to push this panel in, and have them in there tight. I didn't want it to pull this gap out, so you can kind of see how it pulls out. I just want to keep them nice and tight like that. So I might have gotten too aggressive on that, but the reason that it was kind of easy to do, which if you're doing this work, you have to have a rivet tool like this Milwaukee one. You can't hand pop hundreds of rivets a day. I actually tried that. I got to about 50 in one day, and my hand was bruised pretty bad. And not only that, when you pop the rivet and it releases, you got this thing that wants to fly around, and a couple times I scratched up the metal just because you can't control it. So really, if you're ever messing with rivets, the rivet gun is the preferred method. So here's how I chose to do the base channel into the J channel, or base trim, I guess, into the J channel. So you'll just have your piece of siding, the edge will be hidden in here, and then it will just kind of just float right above this. Yeah, so the windows were a little bit difficult to install up here, I'm not gonna lie, but I did it. I've done all this stuff by myself, other than the first weekend of like erecting the frame. I've been a solo worker here, and it's been a lot of work, and at least I'm learning how to do all of it, and I think that's pretty beneficial to know all that stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna finish doing some trim, and before the sun is totally brutal.